The cloud. Hello, everyone. This is Jen Piceno of Gypsy Moon Inc. I am here with a good friend, Kelly Myerson, who happens to be a sleep expert, and who doesn't need a good night of sleep? So I'm very honored to have her here with me in our sacred virtual space, just having some girl talk. So what are we talking about today, Kelly?
I was thinking, this is my favorite question lately to ask people. What is your zone of genius? Like, what do you do that you lose track of time? Like, you just do with ease and flow, and it's always helpful for other people. And people meet you and they're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I need you to meet everybody I know.
So tell me about yours, because I know you're a sleep expert and we've had amazing chats about that. In my opinion, every mom needs better sleep. So tell me about your genius.
Yeah, so I think my zone of genius definitely is sleep in that I understand from a sensory perspective, from a neurological perspective, like how it biologically works. I'm a true science nerd. Like I love to learn about everything related to sleep. So I've spent so much time doing all that background work and having all that background knowledge. But what I'm really good at is talking to someone and teasing out that one little thing that kind of creates that slippery slope towards change in the most positive way. So, for example, I was just on a training last Friday. I was coaching a group of women, and one of the women was talking about her sleep, and she's like, everybody goes to bed and I'm still awake and I have all this energy and I know I'm supposed to be going to bed, but I don't want to. And then I have to get up in the morning and I have to get my kids to school and I'm tired, and then I feel like I'm forcing myself to do stuff to be productive before I go and I do my day job. And I was like, okay, I'm hearing something. You've got all this high energy at night. You've got this low energy in the morning. What if, everybody talks about morning routines, and I love a morning routine. I love waking up and doing things, but that works for me. I said, it sounds like for you, you need to have your creative time at night. You
Yeah.
still got to get your 7 to 9 hours, however you're going to get that. But what if you woke up in the morning, you helped your kiddos get themselves out the door into school, and then you practiced self care for yourself, whether that looks like sitting with a cup of tea and reading, or, just resting, or just breathing, or whatever it is that you really truly enjoy. And it doesn't have to be a productivity time. You don't have to be cleaning your house. And she was like, oh my gosh, that would be amazing. And I'm like, you don't even have to just think of it as like, I'm getting my time to do she's a writer, getting my time to do my writing, fitting in my self care. I'm like, but just look at the full package. So now you're going and you've got this evening delicious routine before bedtime. You've got your sleep, and then you're waking up and you're giving yourself self care first. I mean, how delightful is that?
Aha moment, right? For her.
Right? For
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I
So,
think that's so important for women because we should fit in this exact cookie cutter stamped. It needs to be this way. I do my stuff on this time clock, on this schedule, on this agenda. And really, it's not that at all,
no.
right? It should be what works for us is what works for us. And it doesn't matter what the other girl's doing or the
Yeah.
other family is doing or the other practitioner in our case. And I think
Yes.
that's so important for people to realize and bring that into their heart space and know there is no, like, it has to work for you or it's not going to work.
Totally.
And I know I find that in my practice, if you want to speak into this from a sleep standpoint, I feel like so many women are swimming against the flow
Mm.
instead of being in flow. And that causes this uncertainty, this unnecessary stress, or I call it unnecessary suffering, right?
Mm.
Because we're trying to fit into something that doesn't work. We're going against the grain. And then we feel not enough because it's not working and it feels hard and we're overwhelmed mentally, physically, emotionally, which of course isn't good for sleep, is it?
No. No, it's
Right?
not. Yeah, I love what you said about how we sort of get into this mode of I'm supposed to or I should. And it's so funny you say that because same conversation that I was having with these women, I said just stop shoulding on yourself.
Yes,
Like
we
it
both
is
have that same coach. I love that phrase, Donna. Stop
stop
shooting on
shitting
yourself.
on yourself because what's happening is you like you said you're trying to fit into this mold and it's out of alignment with who you are. It's out of alignment with what feels good, you know, and I think that's some of the suffering you're talking about. We put ourselves into these modes of I have to do this, I should be doing this, everybody expects me to do this, and we do it with this, you know, sacrifice, this martyrdom, right?
And
Of
it's
like,
self-sacrificing is self-sabotaging,
yes,
right? I'm the ex queen of codependence. I know that world
same.
very well. And I still have my crown. I put it on from time to time, but I try not to wear it for long periods of time. But it sneaks back in because I think it is ingrained in us, especially depending how we were raised. I came from a long line of women that gave their all and gave to themselves last. And
Mm,
I thought that's how you love. I thought that's how you show compassion and love to your family, how you're a good wife, how you're a good mother is to do that. And instead, I got so empty that my
yes.
body stopped on me. Like it
Uh-huh.
just got so empty that I was done. My body said enough is enough. I had no choice to kick that codependence in the ass and say no more.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think so many women are in that place where they're running around life like robots, like working like machines from the time their feet hit to the floor until their body literally crashes.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to speak to whoever's watching, whether it's live or it's in the replay, just to say that's not okay. And you don't have to do that. And there's no reason you should ever cause self harm. And really, that is what we're doing. We're causing self harm. And it's self betrayal because that perfectionism thing, it does not exist. And I know you've learned that, and I've learned that. And I want as many women out there to learn that as possible. It really is just setting ourselves up for failure and to continually feel not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. Preach. Yes. I so agree.
Virtual high five to everybody
Virtual
who
high
has
five.
kicked codependence in the ass.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely like textbook, like literally I went through a divorce when I was in my late 20s. And like a year after my divorce, I divorced my job where I was working for a narcissist. And, you know, and then my body crashed. Then
Mm-hmm.
my body was like, you have no choice but to face the ways in which you are sacrificing yourself because you believe that that is the way that you need to treat other people, that you need to put them first, and that means suffering for you. Like, I can remember funny things like, you know, taking the smaller half of the sandwich, you know, um,
And you were really hungry.
glass, right? Like this glass has a spot on it, this one doesn't. Of course,
Yes.
I'm going to take them. And I know that that was taught to me. Like I
Yeah.
picked up on that. Like
Be
you
a
don't,
good girl, be a good host.
right? You
Yes.
girls don't take the nicer thing for themselves. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I call BS on that. Like take the best for yourself, girlfriend. Like come
And
on,
ask for more.
ask for more because it's all there for you. You know,
Yes.
there isn't, it was this like very much a like a limiting belief of like there is a finite amount of resources
Yes.
and opportunities, and so like I spent so much of my, you know, childhood and young adult life pushing like achievement, got to be the best because I felt like I was truly in competition and there were only so many spaces that I could achieve. And
Yeah.
it's like bewildering to me now that that's so untrue.
It's so untrue, but yet we all have that old belief. I mean, I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of women's, and I would say it's fair to say all of them think we're in a rat race.
Mm-hmm.
They do. They think that we have to do. And in the healer's world, I've noticed that a lot too. That's old, 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 ancient beliefs that this is my territory. And if I give to somebody else, that takes away from me. And that's not the case either. Like, that's why I love co-creating. I've talked to you about that. Co-creating is where my jam is. I love expanding. Let me help you grow. That helps me grow. That helps everybody grow. Like, there's no, like, yeah, get the bigger sandwich if you're hungry. But as far as is being just a good human being, and when I say being a good human being, I mean you've got to be good to you to be
Mm-hmm.
able to be good out in your community, in your family, and beyond. And stretching and expanding through that has been life changing for me. I mean, I was taught to do everything by the sweat of my brow, and it had to be hard and easy come, easy go.
Yep.
That's like an old, old, deep thing, generational, ancestral. And I think that's in a lot of people, is that it has to be hard, right? And it's never enough, as
And it's
another
never
old
enough.
belief. Yeah,
And that, yeah, that never enough piece, and that just like you're striving, but it's never going to happen. Like it's so defeatist, and it's not allowing us to really truly shine in the way that
mm-hmm.
we can. And all, it's just funny to me how all those things just like they all fit so perfectly together. Those, codependent behaviors and the perfectionism, and I
Yeah,
I follow Brene Brown. She's one of my favorite authors, and just personalities, because I just love how she's so unapologetically Brene and doesn't worry about like, are people going to care what I look like? Because this is just what I wear. This is just how I talk. This is what I'm
right.
like, and it's okay. And I just think to myself, the gorgeousness in that. If we were each able to truly embrace the thing that makes us truly who we are,
Mm-hmm.
how colorful and wonderful that would be to have that kind of freedom and that lack of fear that people are going to judge us and think we're not good enough. And I mean, it still shows up for me every day, you
It shows
know?
up for everybody every day.
Every day.
And it
Like, what are
starts,
people
I
going to
believe,
think?
from grade school, right? At a
Yes.
very early age, kids pick that up in school,
Yep.
right? I mean, I know
Yep.
you have a young one, I have a young one. I'm trying to combat and unprogram
So hard.
kindergarten, first grade, and second grade.
I know.
That sense of not being good enough, not fitting in, whatever it may be, and the feelings that get hurt. And then they take that on into adulthood. And I know you've worked with women just like I have, that you see these women in even their 40s, 50s, 60s, and they're hanging on to some really old wounds that happen in their youngest years.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't create good sleep either,
No.
or good
No.
anything, because we walk around with heaviness. And
Yep.
I think that's the biggest thing that I would like for people. Yes, feel rested, get that good sleep, and that helps lighten the load. But then also, we're doing this recording on the blood moon, which I think is absolutely perfect, is letting go of what is ready to let go and healing it from the inside out so that you can be your highest, best self. And
Yes.
knowing it's a process and it's judgment free. It needs to be judgment free as we release what we need to release. And I think so many women judge themselves for what they're still hanging on to. Again, shooting on themselves,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, I shouldn't still care about this, but yet I do. And then they go into this cycle of guilt and shame. And then
Mm.
it's harder to let it go because it pulls and sucks you back in. So, you have any advice on people how to rest at night a little bit easier? It's a full moon. As we surrender, we're releasing what we're ready to move through. We're coming through this eclipse. We're like letting go in big, big, bold ways. What would you say from your experience that could help people rest better as they surrender?
Yeah. So I think one of my favorite practices for people who get stuck up here, right? Stuck in your mind, and they're my busy brain people, whether you're
Monkey mind.
creative, monkey mind, totally. Like you lay down on the pillow and your head is just spinning and it's going, and sometimes like it's not even thoughts that you're conscious of bringing about, but like there you have a feeling that's triggering something, and then you get into this pattern that becomes so subconscious and so
Yeah.
out of your control, right? So getting into your body is a great way, by just having any number of sensory things, whether it's essential oils, smells that are calming for you, really comfy PJs and bedding, and kind of creating this beautiful environment that feels very sacred and very loving and cozy for you. And then 30 minutes before bedtime, sitting with a journal and writing down whatever is on your mind, and even
Get it
writing at the top of
out.
the page, right? Just get it
Yes.
out, and not in any kind of order, because on your mind, as a mom, could literally be the list of things that you need to do tomorrow, the
Grocery list.
the grocery list, the to-do list, the work list, whatever it is, creative ideas. Write it all down. If nothing comes when you sit down to do this, just write what is on my mind, and then just start free writing. And don't try to organize it. Like, that's what I tell people too. Don't try to create lists, or say, okay, this
Just
goes with
dump.
this. Just dump it.
Yeah.
Just get it out of your head, and even keep it next to your bedside. So if you wake up and something pops in your mind, don't even turn on the light. Don't get your phone. Just like write it. you know, your mind will be soothed by the fact that you put it on paper, whether you can read it or not, it doesn't matter. So I think that is tremendously helpful. And I think the other thing is to get into this pattern of bookending your sleep with some delicious self-care on both ends.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
For me, it's like a big piece of that is a technology break. So getting off of social media, getting off of my phone, lower lights, lower voices, calm activities that are very relaxing.
So let me ask you about that, because I know that is one of your fortes with sensory. For a adult, when is the best time to take that sensory where it won't affect their sleep? So is it 30 minutes before? Is it 45 minutes before? And how does that vary for an adult versus a child, or does it?
Gotcha. It doesn't. It's the same, the light you want to give like 2 to 3 hours before bedtime, that you're not overstimulating yourself with light, whether it's your cell phone, which is probably the worst offender
Mhm.
for most of us, or the overhead lighting. So, the way that light works in our bodies, this is where the fun of science comes in.
I love
So the best time to get light, to get natural sunlight, is within that first hour that the sun is rising. And the best way to do it is get outside and spend a minute or two where you're actually taking in the sunlight, no sunglasses, outside, right?
absolutely.
Because what it does is it sends this message in your brain. It's almost like setting an alarm clock.
It's better
So
than coffee too,
it's
right?
better than
Yeah.
coffee. It's triggering 12 to 14 hours later, whatever your cycle is, that start to the release of melatonin to start you to feel sleepy.
Hmm.
So, doing that in the morning paired with reducing your light 2 to 3 hours before bedtime at night is the best way to reduce the effects of light, because light is stimulating. Light makes your body feel like it's morning and you want to feel awake. So you have to think of it that way. Our bodies are designed to respond to the environment and the sun coming up and the sun going down, not to respond to LED lights and electricity and all these things that have come in since humans were designed, right? So,
And
you
now,
know,
really more than ever, I feel like, I mean, I've never been on a computer as much as I have been since the pandemic hit. Like, I'm on all day long, right? And giving those screen breaks has become essential for my own self care. So
yes,
much that I'm big on schedule blocking. So I actually
yes,
block pieces of my schedule for me to get away from the screen and go out. And I honor that. Like, when I get that notification, there is no screen, right? And that has
yes.
helped me tremendously and helped my sleep tremendously as well. And I do the same for my son. There are screen breaks throughout the day, like consistently. And then we get our reminder at night. Thank goodness for Alexa. She's my admin here. And we have a firm cutoff time for screens for all of us as a family.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that you said that, because, technology is not inherently bad, right? It's not bad or good. It just is, and it's part of our world right now.
Mhm.
But it doesn't have to be interruptive. It can certainly be effective as a tool in helping you, right? And helping you, like you said, those alerts. I just got myself this new fancy watch. It's not an Apple Watch. It's just like a fitness watch, like tracking how many steps I take in a day and things like that. But it actually tracks my sleep and like how much sleep I'm getting, when I'm in light, when I'm in, deep
Yeah,
sleep, when I'm in REM. And what's really interesting is, what Peter Drucker said. He's like a big mind for personal development and in the business world. Whatever you measure is going to grow. So
I agree.
I'm tracking how much sleep I'm getting, and I'm like, I don't want to look at that and see less than 7 hours of sleep
No,
because
and I feel too, okay, I'm 48 now. I used to be good on 5 hours. And when I
mm,
was teaching dance and a performer and working in the entertainment industry, 5 hours was good for me.
mm-hmm,
But at 48, 5 hours, I feel like a zombie.
mm-hmm,
So I am really honoring that. And it took a while for me not to feel guilty about sleeping the extra couple hours because I
mm-hmm.
was so used to just go, go, go on very little.
Yeah. Well, and when you're a go 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 person, you're really relying on your body and your adrenals and your cortisol and your adrenaline to keep you up and going. And what happens with people who are super sleep deprived, who are like you were chronically only getting 5 hours of sleep, is
Yeah.
you don't even know how sleep deprived you are. You
No, but
know?
in my 20s, I could deal with it better than I
Right.
can of almost pushing
Totally.
50,
Yeah.
right? And
It's a lot harder.
and I'm much more aware of it,
Yeah.
that I need it and that I'm going to take it without guilt. And that letting go of the guilt was a huge piece for me. Again, because I was used to seeing people just go, 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 no matter how tired they were,
Yeah.
right? And
It's
just
so interesting.
pulling that through. It's really, it is an awareness of like just learning and relearning, reteaching, and
Yeah.
re-understanding what our bodies actually need, right?
Yeah.
I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, and if you have this information, I'd love to share with everybody that's watching. I believe it's like over 80% of people have adrenal fatigue now. Have
Hmm.
you, you might want to
I
dive
don't
into
know
the
what the
science or we can
numbers.
dive into it together. I believe it was
Yeah.
like 85%, but I don't want to quote that. People are suffering from adrenal fatigue. And it's because we're pushing through, push, 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 when our bodies are saying, I'm done. And we keep going through it. And
Yeah.
like part of my mission and what I stand for is to bringing people back into balance where they can be ecstatic about life, joyful about life without feeling so robotic, not
Mm.
pushing through these mundane tasks, but actually bringing life back into life.
Yes. I love that. Yeah. I really think we have this sort of societal norm of push and ignore.
Yes.
And, I've been really thinking a lot about it lately because, here I am, I'm preaching about self care and taking care of yourself. I'm like, and if I'm not operating at that high level of putting myself and my well being first, then I'm not going to be really good at helping other people. So I have literally had days where I'm like, I need a break. I need to not be on social media and need to not be checking my email. And you know what? It sort of goes against this nature of being productive and people are expecting things from you. I'm like, you know what?
But
I'm
yet
not
you're more productive by doing it.
so much more
Yeah.
productive. I mean, you know the high level that people like you and I are operating on and the things that we're accomplishing with the time that we have. But, I am not willing to sacrifice my well-being to move forward in any way in my life.
I love that. And you're
I'm going
right
to
on
stop.
point with me. Just
Yeah.
slow down so
Yep.
that you can speed up.
Mhm.
But we have to take that resting point. Otherwise, we're going to crash and burn.
Mhm.
And that's not pretty, believe me. I've been
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, it's not pretty. And, we have so many chronic illnesses that people are experiencing. And like the lack of sleep is such a small portion. It's very foundational. I mean, it's all of the research and the studies that they show, chronic lack of sleep leads to higher heart attacks, Alzheimer's,
Yes.
strokes, your immune system breaks down, mental health issues. Like it just goes on and on. So it's a foundational thing. So that's where I find myself like, we got to start here, people. Like, you got to be getting enough sleep. You got to be taking care of yourself because it's your body's natural way of being able to take care of all these complicated
Everything.
pieces.
Well, yeah. I mean, I know when I don't get enough sleep, I have brain fog. Terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, awful. Like you
Yes.
can't hold a coherent conversation with me. Awful. I need that sleep. I need that rest. And to me, that is sacred. It is
Yes.
not something I'm willing to negotiate.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No.
Do you find it's, are there certain demographics that you find in the studies that you look at that are more sleep deprived than other? I mean, I know moms, right? Because we're doing a lot of things, or especially working moms.
Yeah.
But is there other things that you notice in the clients you've worked with?
I think definitely moms. I'm definitely more tuned into that. A lot of the women I'm working with are, moms, working, entrepreneurs, like doing all these different things. And so they found like sleep is sort of the easiest thing to let go because they get this illusion of
So
more
much.
time in the day, right? But
Mhm.
it's not the quantity, it's the quality.
Right. I'm guilty of that. I used to
Yeah.
stay up extra, put my son in bed and then stay up 4, 5, 6 hours later, working like a mad woman, writing. And then I decided, no, that's happening during the daytime. Sleep is for sleep. And
Yeah.
I really messed up my time clock, my internal time clock by doing that. Right. So
Yeah.
what you're doing has so much value. How do people find you?
You can find me. My website is beingwellwithkelly.com. And I'm on Instagram at Being Well with Kelly. And on Facebook, I have a group, Being Well with Kelly. So it's all very
Be
easy to
well with
find.
Kelly.
It's
Okay.
Being Well with Kelly.
And we will put that in the comments of the video and below. So please reach out to her. She's a incredible friend, a beautiful woman, a goddess that can point you in the right direction with all things sleep. Kelly, thank you so much for being here with me on this big full blood moon. I love you. I love you. I love you. And we can
Oh,
do this again soon. Mwah.
awesome. Thank you.